a tutorial on how to create a mold so that you can inject silicone and make a soft bait. Of course, we went through the scans. We're going to be using the STL files that you all have access to, and we're going to use Tinkercad. So to get started, the very first thing we should do in Tinkercad, and this should be common for any file, is to place a ruler. So place a ruler in the center of Tinkercad, and this will help us position our objects later on, as you'll shortly see. So let's create the mold. You should know the general size of your mold. In this case, we're going to be doing a worm, so it's much longer than it is wide or high. So we'll add a box. So we can place the box fairly randomly, and I'll do this so that we can demonstrate the usefulness of that ruler. So let's make the box as long as it needs to be. Let's say 60 millimeters for the length of the worm. Okay. For the width of the box, we can leave it as 20, but for the height of the box, I would like to half that and make that 10. No, actually, sorry, let's leave it at 20. Okay, so we have 60 by 20 by 20 box. Okay, now this 80 shows the distance between your box and the ruler, the center point of the ruler, which is over here. So this ruler can be used in two ways. We can use the edges of the box, or we can use the center of the box when we're trying to position. You can toggle between those by hitting this horizontal lines where I hover and it says use midpoint. I want to use the midpoints, I'm going to click. So now it's using the midpoints to locate the box. So in here, I'll type 0. And now it's 0 in the x-axis. And here, I'll type 0. Now it's 0 in the y-axis. Okay. Great. Now, I also want this box to lie in the center of this plane. So in this 10 here, I'll also hit 0. And now the box is straight in the center of my work plane. And that's great. So that's a step. That's the first step, where we now need to move to inserting our soft bait mold. So to do that, we'll come to import, choose a file, and you'll insert your soft bait mold at this point. So I'll use CMs as an example. Now, when we were scanning, the dimensions were thrown off, but the scale was, or rather the relative scale was maintained. This width is way too long in millimeters. So we know our soft bait, or this soft bait, is supposed to be roughly 50 millimeters long. So I can do 50 here, enter, and it'll scale everything to match, and I can import it at that new scale. Depending on the complexity of your geometry, this may take a while. If it's really complex, importing may take a while, so just give it a moment. This one seems to be a bit simple, so it's imported. It's probably hidden somewhere in the middle. It looks like it's not there, but it's placed in the center. So what we're going to do is make this box transparent, or semi-transparent, to show our soft bait. Okay, good. So our soft bait is also by default placed directly on top of the plane. We want it to be in the center of the plane. So again, I'll click on my soft bait. Notice that it's behind or inside the box, so it's going to be a bit difficult to select. So what we're going to do is hit Command A to select everything, and then Shift and select the box on the outside. Now only the worm is selected. Again, I'll just use my rulers to position this in the center. So 0 for the X, Y is already done, so now the plane cuts straight through it, and it's in the center of my box, aka my mold. The soft bait is also going to be we also need to convert it rather to a hole. So convert it to a hole that way. Next, we need a place for the silicone to be poured into. So I'll take a cylinder of the hole type. I'll place it randomly first, and I'll make it 5 millimeters in both width and depth. Height can remain as is, doesn't matter. And then again, I'll use my ruler dimensions to place it at 0, 0 with reference to my ruler that I added earlier. Okay, so now we are almost all set up. Next up, we are going to combine all this into one. So we'll hit Command A to select everything, and then we'll hit Union Group to subtract the holes from the solids. It may take a while, again, depending on your geometry. Good, so that was the end of mine, and your mold is ready to receive silicon. Some of you may point out how we're going to take out the mold once it's done. Well, when it comes to 3D printing, we will use the 3D printing software to slice this right in the middle so that it's in actually 2 halves. There's no point of doing it here, though it is possible. It's easy in the 3D printing software, so the mold will actually be 3D printed in 2 halves. So once you've injected or you've filled your mold with silicon, you'll just separate the 2 halves.